Welcome, welcome all to this afternoon session, Proptech Accelerator in an Emerging Market, Learning from India, an Indian-based case study presented by John Kuravilla, co-founder and CRO, Kalpnik Technologies and Chief Mentor, Brigade REAP. John, over to you. Thank you for joining us all the way from India, and good luck with today's session.
Thank you, Marie. It's fascinating. It's been a fascinating day for me because I see so many similarities in both challenges and opportunities between our countries, between Africa and India. And I'm going to share with you our journey of how one company catalyzed the Proptech ecosystem in India. But let me start by first thanking Sean, Jonathan, Wayne, and the team at Proptech Africa for giving us this opportunity. We are a 4-year-old startup. And I'm going to take you through the journey of a startup, starting with what is the opportunity and what are the problems. It's surprising to note that India, the real estate industry contributes 13% of our GDP, and it's the second highest employment generator in the country. But the challenges are, while the FDI inflow is humongous, it's got the 4th largest FDI inflow into any industry, the urban population is going to grow from 434 million in 2015 to almost 600 million by 2031. And the market is going to hit $1 trillion by 2032. It's a large market, but the market is fraught with challenges. And this is the McKinsey study that I'm sharing, which very clearly shows that, globally, and this is not just India, it's true of even Africa and true of US, United States, it's true of the Middle East, it's true of Europe, where 20% of projects are over budget and almost 80% are delayed, and the average delay is about 20 months. And to make things worse, productivity, labor productivity in the industry is the worst across categories. And I've got data for 2 countries, Germany and United Kingdom, which very clearly shows that the construction labor productivity is 20% less than the industry average. If you look at India, the challenge is the same. Labor productivity in India is amongst the lowest across categories. And what compounds this problem is that the investment by the real estate fraternity into technology is less than 1%. So on one hand, you have a very, very large market. On the other hand, you have a market fraught with inefficiencies. And despite these inefficiencies, the mitigation is not done through technology. And to make matters worse, so this is the first set of challenges. The first set of challenges is the deep inefficiency in the real estate industry. But if you juxtapose the challenges faced by the environment, we know that the world is running out of water. And we saw one of the startups we got talk about how the only way to mitigate this problem is by controlling demand. And India, you'll have 21 cities which will run out of water over the next 5 years. The problem is serious. We had another startup which talked of sewage. Every year, water and sanitation problem cause more deaths than war, and lack of sanitation is the world's biggest cause of disease. 48% of the world's population does not have access to adequate sewage treatment, and India is no different. What I'm showing you on the right are the pictures of lakes that are set on fire. These lakes are catching fire because of the sewage that is being forced into these lakes. 77% of India's sewage is untreated. 40% of Bangalore's sewage goes to lakes. And these are pictures of lakes in Bangalore where they've caught fire. And conventional sewage treatment plants need power, and India does not have enough of this power. If you look at waste, which is another serious challenge, the world generates 2.1 billion tons of municipal solid waste annually, and 33% of this is not managed in an environmentally safe manner. You looked at rapid urbanization in India. Globally, it's the same problem. The global waste is going to increase by 70% over the next 3 decades to a staggering 3.4 billion tons per annum. And without improvements in this sector, the carbon dioxide emission is going to hit 2.6 billion. India is no different. In fact, it's worse. The problem is, by 2030, in the next 10 years, we will need landfills the size of a Bangalore city, and Bangalore is touted to be the Silicon Valley of India. That's where I sit. So the challenges are humongous. The air we breathe is becoming harder. 11 of the 12 most polluted cities on WHO list are in India. 1.2 million lives were lost due to toxic air. And the funny part, we always thought outside air quality is bad, but indoor air quality in many cases are 5x worse than outdoor. With digitization, with technology, you have another serious killer which we are not even aware of. It's called electromagnetic radiation. You know, when we did a test in the offices that we sit in and in my home, the permissible level of EMR, our homes were 40x and 60x the permissible limits. And with 5G coming in, this problem is going to get worse. What if the cities we live in become unlivable? What happens then? An average temperature in India increased by 8 degrees, and the maximum temperature increased by 12.5 degrees, 12.5% since 1997. And this makes it unviable for the real estate industry to coexist with nature that is creating far more damage because of rapid urbanization. With what's happening around us, the average increase of HVAC per degree is 4%. And energy, Bangalore mean temperature has risen 64% over 15 years. The bore wells, which is one of the sources of water, the depth is going up by 32%. When I moved into Bangalore 25 years back, you could get water at 200 feet. Now, you'd be lucky if you get water at 2,000 feet. And cost of waste management is increasing by 7% year on year. If you just take one city, Bangalore, the projected loss for the real estate industry from construction, capex, is approximately $1 billion over 15 years, and operations is $1.3 billion. And the challenge is not to do with just the inefficiency or the damage to the environment, it's to do with the mindset and behavioral issues. The good news is that when we started 4 years back as Asia's first Proptech Accelerator, we couldn't find more than 100 Proptech startups addressing challenges in the real estate space. Today, we have almost 1,700. And that's what the journey we set out to do. We created Asia's first Proptech Accelerator. It's called Real Estate Accelerator Program. And our objective was very clear: to accelerate innovation in the real estate sector, to deliver enhanced efficiency to industry, and a better way of life for the customer. Now, this was on the customer side and the developer side, but our mission was to help Proptech inventors and innovators create sustainable, very important, sustainable and scalable businesses from India. You know, there was an article, and I saw, I think Jean from Unisu referred to this diagram, and this was a fairly poor attempt at mapping the Proptech industry globally. It just talked of construction tech, collaborative economy, smart real estate, and a cusp of fintech and real tech. With our experience over 4 years, we've added sustainability, wellness, alternate energy, big data, alternate materials, asset management, and legal tech. We have a very, very rigorous selection process. Like I said, over 4 years, when we started in 2016, October, we complete 4 years, we just had 100 startups. Today, 4 years later, we've evaluated 1,700 startups. We've personally spoken to and met with 600 startups, and we've mentored 44 startups. The good news is our mentoring is very, very deep and very, very intense. We work on the 6 levers of engagement on product, technology, business model, people, go-to-market, and scale. Our endeavor, like I said, is to create sustainable companies that can scale. It's a very, very intense calendar. It's a 17-week calendar. We take them through everything from legal, from how to manage finances, from stakeholder development, how to get their product ready, how to get their tech stack ready, how to file IPs, how to market their product, customer connects, and finally, we help them get funding. This slide is an interesting slide because in one snapshot, it tells you about the 4 years of work where we have identified startups and mentored startups that are solving almost every issue that I talked of. The inefficiencies in the industry, which is the blue circle, You have a company which is completely re-architecting the way architects design buildings. It's going to disrupt both AutoCAD and BIM. You've got Spintly, which is a company that has come in this cohort, which is giving you wireless contactless access. I heard of a company or somebody talking about in this forum about how the workforce, the 95% of the Indian workforce sit at the project site, and how QuickSpec is managing that. We have a company with saving 30% energy, and we have a large set of companies. You saw two of those companies today. We got an EcoSTP, which is actually working on sustainable solutions. In this cohort, we've also identified a mortar company, which is reimagining the way mortar is used. This company at the bottom, Greco, consumes 80% less water, cures 80% in less than 80%, and reduces carbon dioxide emission. The good news is our intense program has increased the monthly revenue of these startups. When they came to us, they were at about 60 lakhs. They're now at about $500,000 in revenue per month. And they're 100K when they came to us. They're now at about 620K. And the important thing is, when they came to us, they had a valuation of 5 million. It's today at 77 million. And we are very proud of the fact that, like we tell startups, hey, unit metrics is critical. You have to measure and quantify everything. 33 of the 37 startups have graduated, 4 didn't graduate. 42% have raised funding within a year of leaving the program. The year-on-year increase is 150% in revenue. 100% of the startups have got business from the race industry. And like I said, $77 million is the value of these startups. The interesting thing is, while COVID has been a bane for the race industry, it's been a significant boon for the Proptech startups in India. These startups have generated 1,000+ jobs, and we insist that startups file IP. 16 patents have been filed by the 33 startups. And the interesting thing is, 6 of our startups have raised funding during COVID times. In fact, in the past 5 months, we've exposed our 33 startups to almost 3,000 real estate developers in India, and we've done a lot of international webinars from Singapore to US and now Africa. I'm not going to take you through some of the testimonials, but the fact is, there were 5 awards functions in India last year in Proptech, and every award function was swept by a startup that was mentored at REAP. These are our principles. I call them the REAP mantras. And since there are many startups in this space, it is important for you to create must-have solutions and not good to have. And the difference between must and good is, consumers should be willing to pay you for it. You must monitor unit metrics in a fanatical manner. Data is the only way that you can look at what's the problem, where are the chokes, and what are the levers to push. You must fine-tune your business and product strategies based on deep insights. And I must tell you this, that we as REAP, every year we go and speak to 100 CXOs in the race industry to identify the challenges that they want us to find startups to address. And that's how we stay current to the industry. Build powerful and monetizable IPs. IPs can become your moat as you scale globally. Focus on delivering strong fundamentals and don't chase funding. We insist that startups not reach out to any investors during the program. And we tell them that one of the byproducts of building a solid business is that funds should come to you and not the other way around. And we tell them, forget valuation, unlock value. Focus on acquiring paying customers and not just free customers. And that's why we ensure that the startups get paid POCs during the program. We tell them that credit will kill you. It's not cash, but cash flow that is king. So please focus on cash flow. Wherever possible, try and create a model where the real estate industry pays you in advance. It's a problem globally, but many of our startups are doing that. Accountability and measurability is key. And we tell startups that disruption should be core to your DNA. What we at REAP are doing is actually setting the groundwork to catalyze helping build a more efficient and greener and sustainable tomorrow. And happy, and thank you, Sean, again. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Wayne, Kevin, for having us share our experience, and happy to help the Africa Proptech industry in any way possible. Thank you, Marie.